It's Tuesday now. On Friday, I finished a 30-day challenge. What was the challenge, you ask? 30 consecutive days of meeting people, or I forfeit $100. Why would I do such a thing? Let me tell you. I played The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for a month and a half straight. I had just returned to New York City from a year away. I was working remotely from Bucharest, Romania, Rome, Italy, Barcelona, Spain, and Warsaw, Poland. And me coming back to New York City timed perfectly with the release of this highly anticipated game. And it was a brilliant game. There was so much to do, so much amazing exploring. If you have a chance to play both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, if you have a chance to do it, if you have some time, I would encourage it because it's a good game. I'm the type of person, when I start something, I go all in. When there's something that I like, I need to do it until it's done or until I've done it too much. I think it's like that. My obsessive nature, it's a good trait, and in some cases, it's a bad trait. And so, yeah, I played Tears of the Kingdom a lot. I didn't let it get in the way of my obligations to make at least one mobile video a day. I've been making a video a day on TikTok, IG Reels, everywhere. They come out everywhere since November 1st. And I do meditation and exercise every day, which I've been doing for over a decade. Like I said, I go hard. And so this game didn't get in the way of those habits. But when I wasn't doing those habits, I was just kind of spending most of my time playing Tears of the Kingdom. And when I finished it, I said, geez, I have to go outside. I have to meet people. This is too much. This solitude is too much. And like I said, when I start something, I go hard. So I started a 30-day challenge, meeting people every day. A few days after that challenge, I also started this daily podcast on top of my daily videos and a weekly newsletter. And I said, what am I doing? This is so much. What am I doing? But somehow I kept up all of it. And actually having the podcast and videos especially made meeting with people really great, because the cool people like passionate people. That's what I found. Passionate people like other passionate people. And I'm passionate about this podcast and about my videos. When I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about how do I make an amazing podcast? How do I make amazing videos? My video today I actually thought was hilarious. It's about the rejections that the Airbnb founders got. There once was a time, imagine this, there once was a time where you could buy 10% of Airbnb for $150,000. And Brian Chesky, I think that's his last name, shared 10 rejections that the Airbnb founders got during the early days. Anyway, all right, so the goal of this episode, this is episode 34 of The Edward Show. Thank you so much for joining, is to share some stories from the 30-day challenge that I just finished on Friday so that I can inspire you to go and meet some cool people yourself. That's the goal of this podcast. And look, there's a ton that can be done solo from behind a computer. Trust me, like I do a lot of that. I do a lot of search engine optimization. That's one of my passions. And search engine optimization, that's almost entirely behind a computer. But, having a solid network offers tremendous benefits as well. And and they say you are a combination of the people you spend the most time with. So I try to meet and become friends with great people. This podcast talks about some of these great people. I found the events that I was going to, I'm here in New York. I found the events that I was going to through garysguide.com/events and through Meetup. Gary's Guide, the best for finding events in New York City and San Francisco. Really just has the best technology events and summits and conferences. Tells you which ones are free, tells you which ones are it's absurd the quality of the events that Gary's guide lists. Really amazing. And then I would go to these events and people like me and they would invite me to stuff. At one of the events that I went to through Gary's guide, I met a designer at an AI entertainment company, and he invited me to an event that he was throwing. And there I became friends with a guy from Meta and a guy from Microsoft. I'm going to talk about both of those guys. And my strategy for meeting people, I talk about this a lot on this show. It's just to shut up. My strategy is to shut up and let people talk. I don't tell people what I do until they ask. People's favorite thing to talk about is themselves. And what happens is eventually they get tired of talking about themselves. They ask me what I do, and then I have a strategy that I do. I say, I'm a viral marketer. And then I shut up again because I don't want to. I find that if you are too eager to share stuff about yourself, it seems like you're selling. People don't want to be sold to. So I want people to be genuinely curious because then the conversation is more rewarding for them. So I shut up. I say, I'm a viral marketer. And then they say, what does that mean? And then I talk about all the crazy things that I've done. And then the convo genuinely turns to me because these people are actually curious, not because I forced it. The convo basically turns into the Edward Show. And I like the Edward Show. And then eventually I get the conversation back to them. I like to learn about other people. I don't want to seem like I'm this conversation hog. Though trust me, I love talking about myself. That's part of the reason why I have this show. But people love to talk about themselves. So here are some of the people that I met during this 30-day challenge. I think these people are pretty interesting. I hope when you hear about these people, you'll say, oh, I can go out and meet people just like this. That'd be great. When I first read How to Win Friends and Influence People, the amount of energy that I felt towards going out and getting an amazing network of people and having incredible interactions, the amount of energy that I felt was so substantial. And I want to make people feel that way. So one of the people that I met, this guy, Zaid Khan, I met him and it was just at some random tech event at a bar, at like a crappy bar. But Zaid was in this suit. He had this crazy diamond watch on. I said hi to him, and he's an advisor to the royal family in Dubai. And he invited me. I talked about him on one or two other episodes, but what happened was I took him to this club that I'm a part of called Soho House. I'll talk about it in a moment. And then after that, we had like a great time having coffee together there. And after that, he invited me to his office at the top of the World Trade Center, all the way at the top on the 85th floor. The views, oh my gosh, so wild. And I sat there in his office with him and his team. Everyone's in suits. I'm in a pink t-shirt and skinny jeans and sneakers. And the conversation actually turned into the Edward Show. Is pretty great. And his team is great. Zaid and his team, they're great. And he was so generous. They gave me this incredible media asset, which maybe I can talk about in the future, but right now I cannot. But I'm able to actually do something with it, with a business partner of mine. So just such a valuable contact, very valuable meeting. Zaid is so cool. I actually want to get him on the pod. He has a crazy story. So I want to get him on the pod. I met this other guy, David Cunningham. He's been throwing tech events around New York City for years. He's a software engineer at the New York Times. I talked about him as well. I gave him an episode. He knows everybody because he's been throwing tech events for so long. And I thought it was great hanging out with him. We had soju together and then ramen, and it was great. I believe in going deep with people. Like, I know some people and their strategy is to just have a lot of shallow connections. I think that's so dumb. Having a small amount of deep connections is so much more lucrative, so much better. You don't create top of mind awareness with shallow connections. People don't remember you for things. They don't think of you for things. They don't think of inviting you for things because they don't know you. When you have shallow connections, you want to have deep connections. The deeper, the better, honestly. And pick your people carefully. But also, everybody knows somebody. Everybody can be an amazing person in your life. But yeah, I believe in, I guess, like, casting a wide net in terms of going out and going to so many different events. But then when I meet people at these events, I try to get coffee with them next week. And so what happened was, at the beginning of the challenge, I was going to all these different events. For the first half of the challenge, I was going to all these different events. And then by the second half of the challenge, I just had coffee meetings after coffee meeting lined up. And I would only do one a day. That's another thing. Because I had to make my videos and the podcast every day, I was only doing either one event or one meeting a day. And that made it sustainable for me. It also gave me energy to put into the interactions with these people, so I wouldn't show up to meetings and be tired and unenthusiastic. And because I want to give people my best. I want to give people my best on the podcast and IRL in person. And so that's what was happening. And now this guy, he throws these tech events and he invites me to his events. He's a fun guy to know. I want to have soju with him again. That was great. That was actually so much fun. I would love to do that again. Okay, so after him, I met this woman, Jessica Wong. David Cunningham throws tech events in New York City. Jessica Wong throws tech events around the world. She just threw an event in Paris, and I met her at one of her events here in New York. And then we had coffee together. She's building a huge investor email list and database. Clearly a great person to be friends with. And I was able to give her value by introducing her to some of my dev shop connections, because for some reason, developers really like me. Thank you to my developer friends. And I know a lot of people who have dev shops, and I was able to introduce her to some, and I think that would be useful for her. And also, since I know a lot of marketing tricks and hacks, I'm often able to just easily add value to people's lives. Like when I tell people to use reusevideo.com because they're making videos on TikTok and they can have all their videos come out everywhere without the watermark. A lot of people find that valuable. I find that valuable. I use it every day. I give people advice that I use myself all the time. I also think my optimism and positivity helps because I'm a optimistic dude. I am probably too optimistic. I'm an optimistic and positive dude. And I think people like optimism and positivity. If they don't, I'm not going to stop being optimistic and positive. But I think other people like it. Oh man, this next person. I wish I could go deep on this next person. Actually, it's more. So, okay, I met one person. He does PR for Travis Scott, head of PR for Travis Scott. Another person, head of PR for Kanye West. Oh, such insane stories here. I met them through each other. And you know what's crazy is the first person I almost said no because I was really tired when this person was inviting me out. But since I had to do this 30-day challenge, I'm doing this 30-day challenge, and if I don't complete it, I forfeit money. I didn't want to forfeit money. And I'm someone, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. It's a matter of integrity. And so I came out, and it was so great. The one guy who does head of PR for Travis Scott, he hangs around Soho all the time, sitting out at cafes on the street and just meeting the locals. And okay, I'm going to tell you a crazy story. So this woman comes up to us and she looks like she's homeless. She's with her dog. She has this dirty dirty shirt. She's old. Her gray hair is all messy. And her black shirt is stained. She's missing some teeth. Like, seriously, she's missing some teeth. She doesn't look that hygienic. And she comes and sits down with me and this guy and his girlfriend. And this guy is so nice to her. They've met before. She's like, "Do you remember me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he shares some things about her. And they talk. And everyone's super nice to this woman. She says she lives like, she says she lives nearby. I just figure she lives in she has some rent controlled apartment that she's had for many decades and she's never given it up, and it's probably dirty and all these things. And I'm judging a book by its cover because of the way that she's acting and the way that she's dressed. And my friend's being super nice. I'm being super nice. I'm nice to everybody. And my friend walks away for a moment, and then she looks at me. And just randomly, she says, and it's just because she wanted to talk. I guess she's lonely and she wants to talk to people. And she just goes, "My son made 8 Mile." I'm like, "The Eminem movie?" She's like, "Yeah, my son made it." And oh my God, this is the people that you meet if you just hang out and you're just friendly with people. And she was so nice. And I totally judged the book wrong. And I actually really learned a lot from my friend who was just sitting around Soho, just chatting with people, because he's an extrovert. And I'm an extrovert too. But I think sometimes maybe I focus on optimizing where I go to meet people. I have this belief that, like, I'm going to meet people anywhere. If I can be in places where I'm more likely to meet interesting people, I want to do that. And when you do that, you forget what it's like to just be in a place and just randomly meet somebody very interesting and cool. And that was one of these times. All right, another person that I met, this guy Tony. I'm almost done listing these people. I'm having fun. But God, Tony, a few days after we meet, he tells me that this private equity guy wants to fund his media company, and he asks me to be an advisor on that. And that sounds really cool. I met this guy, like I mentioned before, Jerome from Meta. He had left Meta to make a blockchain ticketing platform. He listens to the podcast. Shout out. He gave me great advice to zone in on the topics of each episode. And actually, I think my podcast has become better because of him. So thank you. Also, he taught me like what actually Meta is like behind the scenes. I didn't know any of that. I met Stanislav from Microsoft, shared some dope things with me about Microsoft. We walked all the way from this cafe uptown to downtown. And now I have more friends at Microsoft, which is really great because in the past I was throwing events at Microsoft. I actually want to finish the story about why some of these, like, this is a story of a random connection that I didn't think would lead anywhere led to something really cool. That's what I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish today's episode with. So, okay. Oh man, this is a crazy story. So I'm with my friend, Michael. He is a longtime co-producer for videos. Some of my most viral videos I made with him. We're at his luxury apartment building in Fort Lee. Randomly, a YouTube influencer with millions of followers is living in Michael's building. Michael is a shy person. He recognizes the guy, wants to say hi. He doesn't because he's shy. I'm not shy. So I say, "Hi, are you so-and-so?" The guy says, "Yeah." We all start hanging out. We become friends. He invites us to, I think this is in 2017, he invites us to an event at Soho House. We had previously gone to like Six Flags together, so we become friends. He invites us to an event at Soho House. Soho House is this members-only club. You can Google it. It's crazy members-only club. And me and my friend Michael, we're drunk, and we go and wander around the house. We're not members yet. We're not supposed to be wandering around Soho House, but we're doing it. We end up talking to the guy who runs the movie theater at the Soho House. There's 3 in New York now. At the time, there was only 1. We ended up talking to the guy who runs the movie theater there. And we went to film school. We became friends with him, exchanged numbers. Then we went out for drinks, I think a few days or weeks later, saw movies together, became friends. I started throwing blockchain events around New York City. And I had the crazy idea. This was at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. It was January 2018. I had the crazy idea that I wanted to throw the first blockchain event at Soho House. And at this time, Bitcoin was really starting to blow up. And everyone wanted to know about it and understand it and get involved with it. And so I was trying to throw this event at Soho House, the first blockchain event. And actually, the Soho House staff was going to say no to me. But because I became friends with the guy who operated the cinema, he pushed it through for me. He said, I know this guy. I believe in him. I trust him. He's great. And I threw this event. It was so crowded because everyone wanted to come that you couldn't even stand in, people were spilling outside of the room. The Winklevoss twins came. It was so wild how packed it was with amazing, influential people. And then afterwards, an OG member of Soho House, her name is Peg. She is amazing. And she came up to me. She said, I want you to get me involved in blockchain, and I'm going to make you a member of Soho House. And then I became a member of this amazing organization. And that's how it happened. And it was just meeting one random person to meeting another random person to meeting another random person. And I've met so many fantastic people through this club. And that's what happens that's why I like to meet great people, because you never know what will happen. You never know who will share the next life-changing. I'm getting a call from this guy. His name is Brett Cohen. He's the head of events at Forbes. That's another story. He's one of my best friends. And actually, I want to have him on the podcast too. And sometimes people call me while I'm recording. And because I record live, it's hard to edit afterwards. All right, this is episode 34 of the Edward Show. I think this was a long one. I guess I had a lot to talk about. It was a very eventful 30-day challenge. It was good. And I would encourage you to do your own. Say, this is what you do. Commit to this. Brett is calling me again. Brett Cohen, I will talk to you after the show. This is what you do for the 30-day challenge. And my alarm is still going off. Okay, this is what you do for the 30-day challenge. You say, for 30 days straight, I am either going to go to an event or I'm going to have coffee with somebody. That's it. And it could be somebody who's already a friend, and by having coffee with them, you strengthen your relationship. It could be a stranger, but that's all you do. It's an event, or and it's not necessarily coffee. It could be lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever, a walk, but you want to get to know somebody better. So it's either you go to an event or you get to know somebody better, and you do that every day for 30 days. Brett is calling me again. I'm ending episode 34 to get on a call with the head of events at Forbes, Brett Cohen. He's going to be on the show soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.